Alright, Tubi Horror Weekend continues with Malevolence Bereavement, or just Bereavement in some places. This is a prequel to the first film. Remember when in my review for the first one, I said that the back story for Martin would have made a good film to start with. And so they decided to go back and give us that story. And so we see the abduction of Martin at the beginning of the film. And I kind of liked the way they were framing the killer, the psycho killer guy whose name is Graham. We find out Graham Sutter. They framed him for a certain part of this film. He was in the shadows. His face was obscured. They weren't showing him. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I like that. I hope that's in the entire film. And then partway through the film, they just reveal his face. Like, he's standing there, and he's yelling, and then his face is just right there. It's still dimly lit, but you can see it. And I'm like, don't tell me that's... I think they messed up trying to conceal his face, and then it's just out for the rest of the film, and I was just like... And some of the decisions they make with him yelling at a deer skeleton or whatever it's supposed to be, some kind of skeleton thing, and dead body that could be his father's dead body, and I don't know. I didn't particularly care for Graham in this. Likewise, as a prequel to the first one, it doesn't really deliver. It's not a bad movie. I actually kind of like it a little bit better than the first one, because at least I think there was more going on. But what Stephen Mina, who also directed the first one, he did this one, I think he did the third one too. He decided, instead of making it a straightforward slasher like the first one, he made a character study. He made it a character study. A prequel. A character study. A prequel that everyone, whoever's seen any prequel ever, knows that any character in a prequel is going to die. You make it a character study. So I had my, I had my doubts. And I thought, well, maybe he does something different. Maybe he subverts all expectations and makes it so that we think they're all going to die. But then this one character survives, and they're going to be the main protagonist of the third one, and that sets that up. No, everyone dies. It falls to the same cliches as every single prequel has ever done. And that's, they're not talked about, mentioned, or seen in the first one, so they all have to die. And you already know how this is going to end, with the eventual return of Martin stabbing, killing, because you know from the diary, which, by the way, doesn't show up in this film at all. The diary that they find at the end of the first one says that Martin turned on his killer, on the psycho killer, Graham. Which, by the way, that diary, nothing, because for some reason, he's now venting all his frustrations towards a skeleton thing he has hanging up, which makes no sense because he's supposed to be writing in a diary. And I understand if you just show the guy writing in a diary, it doesn't give much and can be kind of boring, but you showed us in the first one there was a diary. You never see it here. And like I said, as a prequel to the first one, there isn't a lot of that in this. Like, Martin and Graham are almost side characters in this. We follow Alexandra Daddario, her character Allison. She's living with her uncle because her parents have died in some kind of accident or something, and so she's gone to live with her aunt, uncle, and cousin. At this point in time, 24-year-old Alexandra Daddario, who's playing a 17-year-old, and the only reason why she was casted, probably, was because they needed an actress who can handle herself. They needed an older, why they casted her older, so since she was 17, but with her assets, no, I don't believe for a second she's 17. I'm like, how old is she? And then, towards the end of the film, they mentioned 17, and I'm like, yeah, sure. Those are 17. But, especially since they sort of over-sexualize her in this film. Like, they put her in jogging scenes, whether, and there are like 3 or 4 jogging scenes where they're just bouncing around. And then for the entire, I mean, you've seen the poster of this, you know what's coming. The entire climax, she's in a white t-shirt, and then she's locked in a freezer, and it gets cold, and ding, ding, hello. They knew what they were doing when they casted her, and went, with the wardrobe in this. They knew what they were doing, let me tell you. I ain't entirely too mad at that, but let me tell you, they knew what they were doing. But we follow her for most of the film. And we cut back and forth to Graham killing women. And Martin being forced to watch. And yeah, that's basically what we got from the non-existent journal in the first one. That's basically what he was tortured and meant to do. They do add something here. They say that Martin has a disorder where he feels no pain. No. I feel no pain. Sorry. You don't mess with the Zohan. I feel pain. See? Oh! See, I feel pain. You know that from my cottage cheese video. But anyway, yeah, and that doesn't really add much. There's where he's stabbed, and he just... Excuse me. Where he's stabbed in the head, and he just kind of sits there because he doesn't feel pain. And it's just like, I understand what they're trying to do, because we gotta explain how he survived, how he didn't, he kept coming in the first one. He feels no pain. And, yeah, but, yeah, we do follow her through the entire film. But she's not connected to any of this, other than she happens to jog by the place where they are, and she sees Martin a couple times. Other than that, there's no connection until the end of the film, when she happens to jog by again and see Martin in there, and she finally decides, hey, I'm going to do something. And that's when she gets caught. And then her uncle... I had to rewind it because I felt I missed something, because all of a sudden the uncle is there, he's yelling for Graham, and I'm like, wait, how did he figure out? Turns out he was just their neighbors, and he was just asking if he had seen him. But then, and it's another cliche. Someone finds our victim, nope, they gotta die. Like, she gets out of the duct tape that's on her face or whatever, and she yells out for him. He's like, what? And then Graham kills him. And then the boyfriend shows up. And as soon as he finds her and he's trying to get her out, dead. So then the guy goes over. This is the climax, by the way. She's able to escape. She gets over. Like, the guy goes to the other house to deal with the wife and the daughter. Tells the wife, yells at the daughter, run! Run! And she just kind of stands there yelling. I'm like, she said run. And then eventually she has run, so she runs upstairs to the bedroom. I mean, it's very sincerely when I say, why do you run up? I understand this is a little girl, but your mom's telling you to run. Why would you run up the stairs to your bedroom where there's no way to get out? And he's about to kill her, but doesn't. And then there's a fire downstairs. Allison shows up. She stabs him, and I went, wait, no. Martin is supposed to kill him. They said that in the journal. That doesn't exist, so there could be, retconning. But, no, she stabs him, and I'm like, no, Martin has to kill him. That was the whole story. This is a prequel. You don't fuck it up. They don't really, but, like, he's stabbed, he stumbles away. Like, she just lets him stumble down the stairs and walk off. And I'm like, what? And she checks on her cousin. And she's like, okay, I'll be right back. She leaves her there and goes down to check on Martin. That's where Martin stabs her like several fucking times, man. And then she's in a white t-shirt covered in blood and we can see nipple. Again, because filmmakers knew what they were doing. And so then Martin goes up and off screen kills the girl, and I thought again, we're going to subvert my expectations. I'm like, oh, I get it. This is where they're going to reveal that he saved the girl and made her like him. And that's what the sequels are going to be, the third one. And she is the one coming through the door at the end of the first one. Nope, she's killed off screen. And then we get Graham coming home, and then he's killed by Martin. And I felt like the filmmakers just shoved that in, like, oh wait, he can't die from his wound from her because Martin has to be one to kill him, because that's what we said in the first one. I feel like him getting stabbed by Allison lessened that scene. If he had gone back, maybe a little, you have cuts here or here, maybe a little bruised, and come back looking for the boy and finding him and thinking, you hadn't run away, you know, you do want to stay here, you have become what I wanted you to become, and then stabbing him. He does say thank you as he's dying and getting chopped up, but he gets chopped up with an axe. It's just like, I felt like him getting stabbed by Allison lessened that a little bit. Like, if he was just fine. Also, I felt like a better story was to take Michael Bihn's character, who was the uncle, and make him a detective who was trying to track down Martin and couldn't, so it messed up his family life. His family left him. He's alone. He's kind of a drinker, and he's trying to. He's been kicked off the force or kicked out off the case, whatever. He's still trying to find him. He's become obsessed with it, and then it leads to this. Because the biggest problem I have with this film is that the main character is so disconnected from the story, other than she's seeing Martin peeking his head out of a window a couple times. That's all we get for a connection, is that she sees him, and finally it's like, oh, I'm going to go see what's going on with him. And yeah, there's no connection. Like, I thought that maybe a cop trying to track down Martin would lead to, and you could kill him off because he's not necessary. But like, this movie falls into that category of prequels that have to kill off all of the main characters because they're not mentioned or seen in the previous film. And I hate that in prequels. You could have done something different. You could have set up for a third film, which you were going to release, having one of the characters from this then be in that one to connect it all together. I mean, Paranormal Activity is good at doing this. They set up something in the second film that led into others, and then the third one was another prequel which connected to other ones. They knew what they were doing. Here, it's a standard, everyone has to die. Yes, I know, Paranormal Activity 3, the people who weren't, around in the previous two films, they get killed off, even though killing off the mom makes no sense because they mentioned her. You wanna know what? You want to end up like, Mom, dead? Who knows? But, all in all, I think this was a step up from the first one. But I felt like the biggest problem was the two, it wasn't connected enough. Like, our main character wasn't connected with the actual story of the franchise enough to warrant her being part of that, other than she jogged by a couple times and saw Martin stick his head out. It just didn't work for me. But it was pretty good. I'm going to give this a 7. It's a step up. It's not bad. Kind of looking forward to the third one. See how it wraps up. If it does, I don't know. No spoilers, please. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on Malevolence 2 Bereavement? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.